Far above the Arctic Circle, closer to the North Pole than to most of Europe, lies a place that feels almost unreal. A cluster of frozen islands where the mountains stay white all year, where the air is so clean it almost hurts to breathe, and where the rules of life are unlike anywhere else on Earth. This is Svalbard, one of the world's most unusual territories. On the surface, it looks like a remote Arctic research outpost. But hidden beneath the snow and silence is a rule so shocking that most people don't believe it at first. Anyone on Earth can move here. No visa, no application, no nationality restrictions. A Japanese fisherman, a Kenyan engineer, a Brazilian artist, an American programmer. Every one of them has the same legal right to settle in Svalbard. But this freedom didn't come from modern politics. It came from an old treaty written over a century ago, one that accidentally created the world's closest thing to a borderless society. To understand how Svalbard became the place where anyone can start a new life, we have to go back to a time before countries even cared about who owned the Arctic. For most of human history, Svalbard belonged to no one. Whalers from Europe came here in the 1600s. Russian trappers lived in small wooden cabins to hunt Arctic foxes, and explorers stopped here on their way toward the North Pole. But there was no government, no permanent population, no laws, just an empty wilderness where survival depended on skill and luck. That changed after World War I. In 1920, more than 40 nations signed a document called the Svalbard Treaty. It gave Norway sovereignty over the archipelago, but with a twist no other territory on Earth has. The treaty says that citizens of all signature countries must be treated equally. They can live here, work here, start businesses, fish, and hunt access resources without needing permission from Norway. Over time, even countries that weren't part of the treaty began receiving the same treatment. The result? A territory controlled by one nation, but open to anyone. Svalbard is technically Norwegian, but legally it belongs to everyone. The idea sounds simple. Get on a plane, move to Svalbard, start a new life. But reality in the Arctic is rarely simple. Despite its visa-free status, you cannot fly to Svalbard from your home country. There are no international flights whatsoever. To reach the Arctic settlement, you must first enter mainland Norway, which does require a visa for many nationalities. Only after passing through Norwegian immigration can you board a connecting flight to Longyearbyen. This means Svalbard is an open door, behind another locked door. From time to time, special charters run from Sweden, but these are rare, seasonal, and unpredictable. So, while the law says anyone can move here, the logistics say only if you really mean it. And once you arrive, you discover a place where everything, absolutely everything, operates differently. Longyearbyen, the main town, looks peaceful from a distance. Colorful wooden houses, snow-covered mountains, a quiet harbor. But this calm hides a lifestyle shaped entirely by isolation. Here, the rules of survival are written by nature first, and governments second. No safety net. There is no unemployment support in Svalbard, no long-term welfare system. If you lose your job or housing, local authorities can, and often do, require you to leave the islands. It is one of the few places in Europe where financial independence is legally mandatory. No one is born here, pregnant, and women must leave weeks before giving birth because the hospital cannot handle emergencies. If something goes wrong during labor, evacuation is impossible in harsh weather. No one is buried here. The ground is permanently frozen. Bodies don't decompose. The cemetery stopped accepting burials decades ago, and old graves occasionally surface as the permafrost melts. A place where time breaks. Winters bring the polar night. Months of complete darkness, where the sun never rises. People walk to work under a black sky at 1 p.m. Streetlights glow all day. Then summer transforms the islands into the land of the midnight sun. 24 hours of daylight for months. Shadows disappear. Children play outside at midnight. People cover their windows with thick curtains just to sleep. The human body never fully adapts. Polar bears and rifles. Outside town, people must carry rifles for protection. Polar bears roam the coastline, the valleys, even the outskirts of the town itself. They are powerful, fast, and unpredictable. In Svalbard, nature is not scenery. It is a daily negotiation. Longyearbyen has only a few thousand residents, but they come from over 50 different nationalities. Norwegians, Russians, Ukrainians, Thais, Filipinos, Germans, Italians. All drawn by adventure, opportunity, or the desire to start over somewhere remote. Many come for Arctic research tourism jobs, mining work engineering service industry roles, or simply curiosity. And then there's Barentsburg, the Russian mining settlement still operating within Svalbard. It has its own school, hospital, and cultural center. Signs are in Cyrillic. Life feels completely different from Norwegian Longyearbyen, yet it exists under the same treaty on the same frozen island. Svalbard is a geopolitical puzzle, a Norwegian landmass hosting Russian towns, open to EU citizens, Americans, Asians, essentially anyone who wants to be here. No borders, no barriers, just a frontier held together by a century-old agreement. But Svalbard is entering a new era, one defined not by explorers or treaties, but by climate and global competition. This is one of the fastest warming regions on the Earth. Glaciers retreat every year, sea ice shrinks, permafrost softens, threatening roads, buildings, and the foundation beneath entire towns. Scientists in Svalbard say, "We are watching the Arctic disappear in real time." At the same time, nations are beginning to view the Arctic as a strategic zone. For shipping routes, minerals, energy, and influence, Svalbard sits at the center of that interest. What was once a forgotten archipelago is now a quiet stage for global attention. Svalbard is full of contradictions. It belongs to Norway, but belongs to everyone. Anyone can move here, but getting here is difficult. You can live freely, but only if you can support yourself. There is no military, yet survival often requires a rifle. Winters are eternal darkness, summers eternal light. There is no other place like this. For some, Svalbard is a fresh start, a place to escape the noise of the modern world. For others, it's a scientific frontier, and for many, it's simply too extreme to imagine. But the islands remain open, waiting, unchanged by time. A reminder that even in the 21st century, there are still places where the rules of life are rewritten. A visa-free Arctic territory at the top of the world, where anyone can begin again if they can survive the cold.